Hi, welcome to the Mandi Show. This is just a test recording, but today's episode is gonna be a bit of a review and a thematic analysis of a song that I really liked growing up. So the song's name is "Fast Life." Wait, no, "So Far Gone." "Fast Life Blues" by Brent Faiyaz off of his 2018 album "Son the Sun." Really good album. So I think the first time I heard it, it was in 2018, right? And I was in matric. I was like 17, turning 18, right? Bit of a confused adolescent teen during that time. Somewhere between dreaming big and just trying to survive the whole year and thinking about where I'm gonna go, what I'm gonna do after high school, thinking about varsity, thinking about my marks and just trying to survive, man. But like that was the first time or that was one of the first memories that I have, or what I associate the song with, Fast Life Blues. Even the whole album, I think it came out at a time where I didn't really have the words for everything that I was experiencing and everything that I was feeling at the time. Um, I guess the whole album of Son the Sun, it felt like a coming of age type of deal, a coming of age album. But that's what it was for me. I remember I was one of his biggest fans at the time. I mean, you can see behind me, I have a few paintings, portraits that I've been drawing. I hope you guys can see. This one is a work in progress. That one is done. The one at the top, it's a framed oil pastel drawing, and this one is acrylics on canvas. I'm gonna finish it soon. Check out my TikTok if you guys want to see my art, more of my art, anyways. I post on there as well. I'm gonna attach it somewhere. But yeah. Uh, Speaking of TikToks and other unplugging stuff, I want to plug the channel. If this is your first time watching my channel, do me a favor and hit subscribe, hit the like button, interact as many times as you can, comment whatever you think about the album. Tell me what your favorite albums were during your teen years. But for this video, I'm going to talk about Fast Life Blues. But before we get into that, I think that I want to talk about the album too. I think that while I was like technically still growing up, right, at the time that the album was coming out, it felt like Brent had already mapped out the inner conflicts that I couldn't fully articulate at the time. It's a really crazy album, not crazy in the sense of like complexity, like lyricism, like the depth of the lyricism or whatever. It's like it's not that crazy, but it's relatable, and I think that's what makes it deep for me, anyways. Um, but back then I was more of like a observer. I just appreciated the artistry of it and how it made me feel at the time. But the lyrics did feel relatable, but I hadn't lived them yet, right? Like I said, I was a teenager, just always in my own headspace, always in my own place. So I didn't really have much life experience until maybe second year of varsity. But now at 25 years old, after tasting a little bit of success, or like knowing what it's like to have an ambition, that and maybe like the struggles of trying to achieve certain goals, and navigating real love and real loss and failures, hitting some walls and shit. I think that now I hear the song, I hear it again, and it feels a bit different, it feels a bit more personal to me, because some of the shit that he's singing now, I've experienced some of it, and it just makes for a deeper connection, so for this podcast, I'm going to be giving you guys a bit of a thematic review and some personal interpretive case study of the song, right? I have the lyrics out right here, and I'm listening to the album while not the album alone, but like I have a playlist on rotation in my head. But yeah, I'm gonna be reflecting on its emotional and narrative layers. Brent manages to craft a really good story with this. Again, I don't think Brent is one of the greatest lyricists of all time, in the sense that his his lyrics are so um encrypted or just difficult to understand. I think his strength lies in the simplicity and the relatability, and also because of his voice, the way that he utilizes it. I think that's what makes it really, that makes for a really good experience. Um, those that know me, like deeply, that like really know me, know that I had some very unkind things to say about his last album. Um, but this is gonna be. I made a promise to only speak about things that I love on this channel, right? But in this song or this album or this song, let me say this song. It continues the foundation that he built on the themes of love, isolation, trust, ambition, and like the harsh growing pains that come with adulthood, you know, and trying to chase a dream. And his storytelling is intimate, yet I think it's universal. Like a lot of people can relate to it. So this, if you're someone that's like chasing something big, you're caught chasing something bigger and trying to hold on to something that matters, I think this song is for you, right? So without further ado, let's just get into it. Um, the first theme, I think it's about the pull between connection and isolation. Now let me like try to break it down for you guys. So from the first verse, you know, Brent sets the tension. He sets up the tension that drives much of the song. You know, longing for closeness and the reality of distance. In a way, you know, he says, "You say you trust us, but don't pick the phone up." It's a simple line, you know, not really a deep line. Again, right? It's not the most. Okay, let me stop. Let me stop saying that. Let me shut the fuck up. But I think it still captures that familiar feeling, you know, being ghost. Maybe you've been ghosted by someone you still care about, or maybe the guilt of being the one that disappears. I've been on both ends, so I really get what bro is talking about here. But back in high school, right, I was I think it was easy to romanticize ambition. Like I said in the intro, I was in matric thinking about my future, thinking about what I'm gonna do when all of this is over. Varsity, getting a job, you know, all that shit, right? I thought like chasing the dreams meant like grinding 24/7, right? Hustle culture. That was the vibe, right? But what Brent shows here is the cost of that dream in this song, right? And I'll use an example from the lyrics here. But what he shows is that sometimes you miss birthdays, man. Sometimes you can't answer calls. People start, you know, feeling like afterthoughts because you're on the grind 24/7, you know, and there's bound to be some sort of emotional deep emotional distance that creeps in, you know. So when he says Lord knows I ain't been home in so long, I really it really connects with me on a personal level, because again, I'm in varsity now, studying in the Western Cape, right? And my family is in the Northern Cape, so it's a huge distance, and like I spent like maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 months back there, and like missing a lot of things that are going on home at home. You know, my nephews growing up, the things that they accomplish in school, you know, and in sports and all of that, you know, and everything that's just happening at home. You miss all of that because you're on the grind and you're trying to build something for yourself, lead a legacy, and also build something for your family. You know, you gotta grind, but it comes with a bit of a sacrifice, you know. So I think that here, with that line, that specific line, he's not just talking about like the physical home, but a place where you feel safe, where you feel known, or or loved, you know. And once you leave it chasing the game, you know, getting back there just becomes like a lot harder. And I think that he isn't just talking about himself. I think that he's describing something that many of us feel. He's describing something that I feel on a personal level, right? And maybe I won't admit it. Only I'll only admit it to my YouTube crowd of 11 subscribers, because you know it feels a bit safer. You guys have no choice but to listen to me trauma dump and masking it as a song review. Do you guys get the formula? Are you guys privy? You guys notice now what I've been doing this whole time? Um, but that fear that we're chasing something big, I think that that specifically, um, chasing that dream, we might be losing the very people that kept us grounded, you know? Which brings me to the next theme that I want to explore in this song. Now, this is not going to be a very long video. Trust me, there's so much more that I can talk about, but this theme is innocence versus experience, you know? It's a shift, right? So he said, there's this one really good line that I really like. That's the line that made me love this song, where he says, went to muddy water from holy water. I think that's a really good line in the way that he sings it. I think it's almost biblical, you know. It's He's talking about a transition, you know, from something clean to and pure to something tainted, you know, childhood or adolescence and adulthood, you know, fantasy to reality, you know. As a child, you imagine what adulthood would be, and now that you're in the field, you realize, hey, bro, you're not built for this, you know. But in 2018, right, when I first heard the song, I think that this line felt cool, you know, abstract, and now it kind of cuts different. It can have like multiple meanings, right? As someone who's made some questionable choices, I've made some questionable choices, but I've also learned that every win comes with a compromise, right? And like we learned in the previous theme, right? So when I hear the lyric, I think about how much we lose when we grow up. Now we can also think there's also another meaning with to muddy water from holy water. Muddy water is lean, codeine, I think. But you know, for the purposes of my agenda, I'm gonna take my meaning, right? But let's go to the next line, right? Where he says, from being cozy to living crazy. I think that's like, I want to say that it's about heartbreak, you know, or something. You know, starting off soft, naive, you know, warm, and then the world happens to us, right? And maybe people betray us, or we betray ourselves. We go against our own morals and rules and stuff, you know, and maybe the consequences of that catch up to us. I don't know, but life gets crazy, dude. Maybe it couldn't be about a relationship, but you know, again, I think this song is more of a coming of age story, so I'm not really gonna take the relationship aspect of it, right? But yeah, I think this part of the song, I think it represents this. Have you ever been like disillusioned? I think it talks about like this disillusionment that hits you like in your 20s. Like I'm through my 20s right now, turning 25. Jesus Christ, ung status. Go go go. But that painful realization that, you know, growing up isn't about becoming who you always dreamed you'd be, no, but something for surviving who you've become. I'm trying to survive who I've become and the bad choices that I've made since 2022, 23, right? So Brent, I think he captures this beautifully. You know, he doesn't. I don't know. I think it just gives you raw emotions. You know, um. But yeah, to go to the next theme, which is, you know, trust and betrayal. You know, a wound that lingers, right? Because if there's one thing that keeps bleeding throughout the song, it's betrayal. You know, whether by friends, lovers, or even time itself. Brent isn't really a traditional R&B artist, right? He sings, yes, but he always wanted to be a rapper. So most of the things that he sings about don't always be about being in love and shit. He talks about stuff that you hear rappers rap about, right? He says, you can buy all the clothes you need and still don't visit me, right? Can we say it's about materialism? Maybe. Maybe we can. I think it can also be about emotional poverty. We often think that success will make us more available to our people, right? I don't know. I haven't been successful in anything, but I know successful people. So sometimes I know that it distances you even more, because the more success you get, the more success you chase. With me, even my tiniest dubs, you know, they make me want to get, you know, do bigger shit. But the real tragedy is sometimes we don't even notice until it's too late, right? And by repeating lines about people like not reaching out, that's not the only line that he mentions people not reaching out, or him not reaching out, or not caring and not showing up. But in doing so, he paints a picture, like a really deep picture, like of lingering distrust. And that's my interpretation. Don't add me on this, but I think it goes both ways. He doesn't just feel but doesn't just feel betrayed, but he admits that he does it to other people as well. Ooh, cool. He's not he's not a hypocrite, unlike other people that I know. But the vulnerability here is real. Again, I love when artists are pathetic, like they're not afraid to show how pathetic they are as human beings, and just putting it in a very creative way and a relatable way. That's really cool. That's really something that I've grown to love about Brent Faiyaz's music, even though I kind of fell off on him. But we're not gonna get into that. Um, but yeah, he also admits that he doesn't just trust anyone either. So we have like these moments where we realize that we're building something, right? You're building a wall just as much as you're feeling shut out. You know, I've I have a lot of walls. Trust is fragile, guys. You can't just give it to anyone, especially in the fast life. Like it really survives. But to go to the third theme, or not the third theme, the next theme, whatever. I think this is where we get to the second part of the song, right? I want to talk about parenthood and the shift in priorities. Because the song shifts, right? Now it's Fast Life Blues. We were talking about So Far Gone. Now we're talking about Fast Life Blues. It's a two-part song, right? So it introduces something completely different, which is fatherhood, which is something that really kind of not bugged me, but it was always like, wait a minute, you got a kid? Because I thought he was singing about his daughter. But he introduces something different in this song, right? And this might be the most beautiful and most powerful part, right? Because he says, just tell my baby close her eyes and wait for me to get off my vacation, right? It's a really good verse itself, vocals, the lyrics, the guitar. Los Hendrix, he's the guy on the guitar. D-Pad and Atu are on production. I think it's a Sonder song, right? So the whole crew was in there, like everyone that worked on there, engineering, everything, peak, right? Even his uh, uh, the vocals, which I don't think are technically the best, but they worked around all of that, and it all just blended just beautifully, right? Um, I don't think he's talking about an actual vacation. I think it's a metaphor for being away, maybe working, maybe grinding, bringing in the themes from the previous version of the song, where working and chasing an ambition comes at the sacrifice. Maybe he's talking about the child that he will or he wants to have, but he can't right now because he knows he's not ready and he's not stable, not financially, but like I don't know, in life. He's not ready. He hasn't built an environment that is safe for a child to grow in. So this vacation that he's talking about is actually work. So maybe he's saying that this is for my child. I'll see you in your dreams tonight. Or he's saying that in that verse that I'll have a child when I settle down, when I'm ready to be a father. I think that's cool. I think that's what I think. I think that he's talking about knowing that your child or your future child, is waiting for a version of you that you're not sure you're in the right space to give. I think that's real life, bro. I think that's really cool. Again, this is my interpretation, right? But for a long time I thought growing up was about freedom, but also, you can't ignore the fact that it's about responsibilities. And Brent here, I think he shows like a lot of maturity in this part of the song. He moves from being the lost boy to someone who now thinks about the child that might have to depend on him, right? He's reevaluating his life. Or not reevaluating, but like he's self-aware about his life and the kind of lifestyle that he leads, and he's still thinking about his future, right? The whole tone of the song, it just shifts for me. It just shifts from business to responsibility, and I wanted to say contemplating but I also wanted to say reminiscing, but he's talking about a future child that's not even here yet. So it's a bit of a mindfuck. But the whole tone of the song, it's shift from like the bitterness of the lifestyle and to something just more beautiful. It's not just about pain anymore. It's more about purpose and what he seeks or what he wants in out of the future or out of life, right? He sings this one here is for my child. I'll see you in your dreams tonight. It's a very gentle line. I think it's almost like a lullaby when I listen to it, like it's made for maybe he wants his child to listen to it in the future. And maybe he's gonna sing it to his child one day in the future. Who knows, bro? Um, he it shows a man that's trying to find peace, right? He's trying to find peace. And even if he can't fully he can't give it fully, not yet, right? But there's something a bit kind of heartbreaking and beautiful about that, right? But yeah, which brings me to my the last theme that I want to talk about, right? Which is a personal reflection, I think, right? A personal hearing it then versus hearing it now. Because back in 2018, right, I listened to the album like a fan, right? The production, the mood, the vibe, and all of that. I did all the glazing in the previous themes, right? But it was also immersive. It was, again, I didn't know anyone like Brent at the time. I was not exposed to R&B or any other type of music like that. That was when my third eye was starting to awaken in terms of different types of music. I was just like, listening to trap music and stuff. I was still like, not just trap. Not that trap is like less evolved, but like I was only listening to a particular type of music, right? Hip hop, trap music, boom bap, all of that. But I used to walk around school with my headphones on, and thinking I understood Heartbreak just because of the way that he sang the song and just because of how the lyrics are structured and everything, thinking I was grown. I thought I felt that shit, but now that I've lived through some of what he's talking about, the long nights, studying, grinding, varsity, late nights at the library, pulling all-nighters for a test, getting failing a bunch of times, bro, disappointment and all that shit. I think that and of course, like the broken trust, the guilt of not showing up for people who mattered. Now I've watched dreams bloom, I've watched dreams fade, bro. I've seen all this shit, right? I've lost friends due to the fast life, but I've also gained a lot of great friends. I mean, everything bad that's happened in terms of like relationship wise, like I take full responsibility for my part in all of that, and I even see myself in some of the mistakes that Brent himself confesses. So as a 25-year-old, the song Fast Life Blues, it's like reading a journal entry, right? And I hadn't had the words for at the time. And I don't know, I think it reminds me that success, the grind, it's all complicated, and that love isn't enough, if you're never present. That sometimes the people who need us the most are the ones we disappoint while trying to be something that they can be proud of. That's really what I'm trying to do. And maybe that's why this song hits so hard now. I think that's why it feels so much more relatable. I think, it's not a song that's I don't know. It's a song that holds space, for every single thing that's in the song. Pain, confusion, all of that, contradictions, and being a young adult in the world. And yeah, that brings me to the conclusion, right? Because I think that it's more than just a moody R&B track, right? I think it's a coming of age story, set to music, and it tracks the journey, right? It's a journey that it tracks, from being a wide-eyed adolescent to the reality of the harsh and often lonely road of adulthood, and kind of reminds us that growth isn't, it's not always a glow up, bro. And even the glow ups, even all of that progress that you make in life, it's not linear, right? It's not a straight line. Sometimes it's messy and it's regretful, but it's always real. And this song is much like Brent's music, or the good music that he makes. I think it gives language to certain emotions that we don't know how to express, or that we don't hold a space for, as a contemporary, like, young man, and some things are just hard to express. So it's good to have music that basically journals all of that. And I don't know, that's why I think years later, like, I think it's 7 years later now, I think it still feels like it's tailor-made for me, for all of us, really. So if you're like in your 20s, navigating all the shit that we've been talking about, chasing dreams and all of that, maybe messing up a little on the way, I don't know. But this one's for you, bro. Just check this song out. Brent already wrote the soundtrack, and we're just out here living it. So go out there, check out the rest of the album if you haven't. I doubt you haven't, but maybe you might experience something that I didn't see. And also, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, feel free to hit subscribe, share it with others that you think might like it. Comment what you think about the video and what you think about the album. Start a discussion. I know there's many things that I could have talked about, many things that I didn't go over that I would love to go over. So if you want to start a dialogue in the comments, just slide on through, But as for me, bro, it's been a great podcast episode. I've enjoyed it so far. I haven't been I'm gonna have to apologize. I haven't been consistent. I really haven't. But it's just a thing of, I don't just want to drop for the sake of it, because like I respect you guys. I respect my audience, and I respect the craft too much to just drop for the sake of it. I can't just, like, if I have to have a topic, I have to like know what I'm going to be talking about, and I need to do my proper research. If I do have to do it, proper research. Like if it's something like this, I will think about what I want to say, right? But be that as it may, like it's all a lot of hard work, and I enjoy it, but it's gonna take a lot more time. And I know that the type of content that I do doesn't make for instant gratification, right? So yeah, I'm not gonna promise to be more consistent. I apologize for that, but just know that if you see an episode, just know that I did the work, right? And I make sure that it's something that's gonna be worth watching or listening to. But yeah, I just want it to be insightful, and I want it to be entertaining, and I want you guys to enjoy and maybe learn something about me or whatever it is that I'm discussing. But as for now, or until later, I want you guys to stay safe out there. If you're still writing exams, not congratulations. Oh well, congratulations, you passed. Congratulations in advance, you got an A. But good luck. If you're traveling home from varsity, you're going back home, hope you stay safe, stay creative, do things that matter to you, and love each other, and try to do your best in life. I don't know. Goodbye. Subscribe to the channel. What the fuck?